What if our world wasn't just inhabited by humans? What if mythical creatures, once confined to legends and ancient tales, walked among us? Imagine living in a city where dragons soar through the skies, mermaids trade in underwater markets, and magical portals transport you to another dimension in seconds. Sounds like a dream, or maybe a nightmare. In today's video, we're diving into a fascinating scenario. What would happen if the planet were inhabited by mythical beings? How would daily life function? What about the economy, politics, and, most importantly, would humanity survive? Or would we just become another piece in the grand game of these extraordinary creatures? Stick around until the end, because some of these possibilities might just blow your mind. Cities adapted to magic and giant creatures. If mythical beings inhabited our world, cities would look nothing like they do today. Skyscrapers would need reinforced rooftops to accommodate Dragon's Landing. Streets would be twice as wide to make. Room for centaurs, minotaurs, and even the occasional titan strolling through town. Floating towers could serve as sanctuaries for powerful wizards, while underground tunnels would be home to dwarves, trolls, and other subterranean creatures. In coastal areas, vibrant underwater metropolises would thrive, built from enchanted coral and bioluminescent algae, where mermaids and tritons conduct business just like humans do on land. Meanwhile, ancient forests would hide elven villages seamlessly blended into nature, protected by powerful enchantments to ward off intruders. Transportation would be revolutionized. Forget taxis. People could ride griffins or hop on enchanted garages pulled by unicorns. Public transportation might include flying carpets for short trips or teleportation circles in major city hubs, allowing instant travel across continents. Instead of highways, we'd have airways with lanes designated for different winged creatures. And imagine the convenience of stepping into a glowing portal in New York and appearing seconds later in Tokyo. But city life wouldn't be all fun and magic. There would be new challenges too. Governments would need to regulate the use of spells in urban areas. Imagine the chaos if someone lost control of a fire spell in a crowded marketplace. Zoning laws would have to consider not just residential and commercial areas, but also dragon nesting grounds, werewolf transformation zones, and vampire-safe districts. Would humanity thrive in this magical coexistence? Or would we struggle to adapt to a world where we're no longer the dominant species? An economy based on magic and enchanted artifacts. In a world shared with mythical creatures, the economy would be completely transformed. Gold and paper money might still have some value, but the true currency of this new reality would be enchanted. Artifacts, rare magical ingredients, and powerful spells. Imagine walking into a marketplace filled with all kinds of supernatural goods. Potions that heal wounds instantly, enchanted cloaks that turn you invisible, or spell scrolls that summon rain during a drought. Instead of credit cards, people might carry magical tokens infused with energy. A single charged gemstone could be worth more than an entire briefcase of cash. Banks would also evolve. Instead of traditional vaults, they might use pocket dimensions to store valuables, protected by sphinx riddles or powerful wards. Wealthy individuals wouldn't just collect gold, they'd hoard dragon scales, phoenix feathers, and unicorn horns, all of which would hold immense value due to their magical properties. Trade would also be different. Elves might export rare herbs with mystical healing properties, dwarves could monopolize the enchanted metal industry, and mermaids might control the flow of pearls that amplify spells. Even jobs would change. Instead of software engineers, we might have spell engineers who code using runes. Blacksmiths wouldn't just forge swords, they'd infuse weapons with elemental powers. But where there's wealth, there's crime. Smuggling forbidden artifacts, counterfeiting enchanted items, and curses being used for financial fraud would be real concerns. Governments would need entire departments dedicated to magical law enforcement, detecting hex-based scams, regulating the use of dark magic, and making sure that no one is secretly hoarding an ancient relic capable of world domination. Would a magical economy lead to prosperity for all, or would it create an even bigger gap between the rich and the poor? Wars between races and supernatural peace treaties. With so many powerful beings sharing the planet, conflict would be inevitable. Different species would have their own territories, beliefs, and grudges, some stretching back thousands of years. Just imagine the political complexity of a world where elves, dragons, vampires, and humans must find a way to coexist. Ancient rivalries would fuel tension. Elves and dwarves might fight over enchanted forests, rich in magical resources. Werewolves and vampires, natural enemies in many myths, would have ongoing disputes over hunting rights. Even gods might get involved, choosing sides and influencing mortal politics. To avoid constant destruction, supernatural peace treaties would be necessary. Instead of the United Nations, we'd have an ethereal council where representatives from different species negotiate and enforce magical laws. Some zones might be declared neutral territories, protected by ancient spells to prevent battles from breaking out. But keeping the peace wouldn't be easy. Some creatures, like chaotic demons or rebellious dark wizards, might thrive on conflict, constantly trying to disrupt alliances. There could even be secret societies working behind the scenes, influencing wars for their own benefit. And what about humanity? Would we be seen as equals or just as pawns in a much larger game? One thing is certain. In a world where gods, monsters, and magical beings roam freely, politics would be anything but boring. Gods walking among mortals. If mythical beings lived among us, that might also mean the gods of ancient civilizations were real and walking the earth. But what would that mean for religion? Instead of praying to unseen deities, people could directly interact with them, seeking blessings, making offerings, or even negotiating divine favors. Imagine seeing Zeus giving a speech on live television, Thor attending a global peace summit, or Anubis personally overseeing funeral rites. Some gods might choose to rule over specific regions, while others could prefer a more detached role, observing from celestial realms. Would humanity still have faith? Or would worship become more like political alliances, with people pledging loyalty to gods who offer them the best benefits? But living alongside gods wouldn't be easy. Many deities in mythology are known for being unpredictable, vengeful, or even childish. A single mood swing from Poseidon could cause tsunamis. A disagreement with Hades might mean accidentally starting a war in the underworld. And what about forbidden knowledge? Would gods reveal the secrets of the universe or keep humanity in the dark? Even scarier, what happens when gods disagree with each other? Would we be caught in the crossfire of divine conflicts? Would some humans try to steal godlike power for themselves? One thing is certain, a world where gods exist wouldn't just change how we live. It would change the very fabric of reality itself. Flying and dimensional travel as everyday transportation in a world filled with mythical beings, traditional transportation like cars, trains, and planes would become obsolete. Why sit in traffic when you could ride a griffin to work or take a portal straight to your destination? Public transport would be completely transformed. Instead of subways, we'd have floating skyships piloted by air elementals. Magic carpets would replace taxis, and instead of waiting for a bus, you could summon a spectral steed that gallops through the air. International travel? No need for passports. Just step through a mage-controlled teleportation gate and instantly arrive on the other side of the world. But with great magic comes great chaos. Air traffic laws would be a nightmare to enforce. Imagine dragons, pegasi, and witches on broomsticks flying in every direction. One wrong turn, and you might crash into a thunderbird or get caught in a vortex leading to another dimension. Insurance companies would have to start covering accidental, interdimensional displacement. And let's not forget the black market. Smugglers could use forbidden teleportation circles to move illegal goods, or even people, across borders without detection. Governments would need magic surveillance teams to track unauthorized portals. And what about the risks of getting lost? One miscalculated teleportation spell, and you might end up stranded in another realm, facing creatures no human has ever seen. Would magical transportation turn the world into a connected utopia, or would it create new dangers we can't even imagine? Schools of magic and supernatural training academies. Education would be completely different in a world filled with mythical beings. Instead of just math and history, students would learn spellcasting, potion making, and even monster taming. Imagine universities where necromancers study alongside bioengineers, or high schools where students take elemental manipulation 101 instead of chemistry. Different species would have their own unique schools. Elves might have centuries-old academies hidden deep in enchanted forests, while dwarves would run underground forges where students learn to craft weapons infused with magic. Humans, as always, would try to learn from everyone, leading to elite schools where the best of every race teach warriors, mages, and supernatural scholars. But of course, not all magic would be used for good. Dark magic would be a forbidden subject, and underground schools might exist where students secretly study curses, demon summoning, and reality manipulation. Governments would have to keep a close eye on rogue sorcerers, and magical law enforcement would need to monitor rising supernatural threats. Would magic education create a golden age of progress, or would it lead to chaos and corruption as people seek dangerous knowledge? Nighttime dangers and creatures lurking in the shadows. In a world filled with mythical beings, the night wouldn't just be dark, it would be downright terrifying. Vampires, werewolves, and shadowy creatures would turn nighttime into a battlefield between predators and survivors. Imagine walking home after sunset, knowing that something ancient and hungry might be watching from the rooftops. Cities would need magical curfews, protective enchantments over neighborhoods, streetlights infused with holy energy, and guards trained in supernatural combat. Some places might have safe zones where humans can move freely, while entire districts are off limits after dark. Werewolf transformation nights would require secure lockdowns, and vampire feeding laws would have to be enforced to prevent chaos. Of course, not all nocturnal creatures would be threats. Some might run mystical night markets, selling rare potions and enchanted relics under the moonlight. Secret societies of supernatural beings could gather after midnight, making deals that shape the fate of the world, while humans sleep unaware. Would humanity adapt to these nighttime terrors? Or would we live in constant fear of the creatures lurking in the dark? So what if mythical creatures really did share our world? Cities would transform into magical metropolises, economies would revolve around enchanted artifacts, and politics would be shaped by supernatural power struggles. We'd have gods walking among us, flying creatures dominating the skies, and schools teaching the next generation of spellcasters. But with all this magic, new dangers would arise. Chaotic wars, forbidden knowledge, and creatures lurking in the shadows. Would humanity thrive in this mythical reality, or would we struggle to survive among beings far stronger and older than us? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Did we miss any major changes? What other mythical elements would you like to see explored? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out the next video that's appearing on your screen right now.